Hey guys, it's Dan here at J&D Gardens. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Please support the channel by planting that subscribe button. And if you're already a viewer, welcome back. Well, we have a great video for you today. We're going to be building some brand new compost bins. And we've done videos like this in the past. We've shown you how to make them from scratch out of pallets or skids. But we're going to be doing it a little differently this time. We're going to be building them up on concrete blocks or cinder blocks. And the reason we're going to do that, to help the pallets, or the wood in the pallets, last a little longer. It's going to be a great video. I think you're going to find it really informative, so stick around. Welcome back. So I want to start off the video by giving you a visual of what we're looking to do. We have our concrete blocks or cinder blocks laid out, and I've added a couple of the pallets or skids on the top of them that are going to make the walls of the compost bin, so that you know what we're doing as we're going along. Now let me start off by, if you're familiar with composting, you know why we do it and what bins are all about. But if you're new to composting and something you want to get into, let me explain a little bit. Now, composting is taking all the organic material from your garden, like grass clippings, old plants, cuttings from the plants, even leaves off the ground, anything organic, and putting them in one area so that they can break down over time to create compost, which is actually just soil. But it's a great growing medium. It's rich in all kinds of nutrients, great to grow. Here at J&D, we only use compost to grow all our plants, so it works out really well for us. Now, a compost bin is what it sounds like. It's a place, an area that you make compost in. Now, there's all kinds of on the market compost bins that you can purchase, and we're actually going to do some of those videos in the future. But here, we're showing you how to build a compost bin really cheap and out of things like pallets. Now, pallets or skids, whatever you call them. Now, what we're doing here is we're creating 3 compost bins. And by using pallets, first of all, you can find them everywhere. And what we do, if you're not familiar, what we do is, so that when we're putting the material inside, all the material doesn't go everywhere. We line the sides of the pallets with some kind of mesh, some kind of galvanized, any kind of mesh that helps keep it together. There are holes in it, so air goes through for aeration, but mainly it's about keeping it together. Now, we have a great video on this. I'm going to link it. I've shown you how to make these pallets and these compost bins made out of pallets in the past, and it's a really great video. So like I said, we'll link it. We're pretty much going to do the same thing, a couple of different things as we build it. And so we're going to be repeating some of the stuff from the video. But the main thing is that we're doing in this video is that we're adding a base of concrete, or a concrete block, or a cinder block in this case. Now, the reason we do that is this is a simple way of making it out of pallets. Pallets don't cost you anything. You can find them anywhere, but they are made of wood. And they're not made of pressure treated wood. They're made out of leftover scraps like pine or whatever have you. So eventually they will deteriorate over time. Now, I've had compost bins for years, and what I do is I put them right on the ground, and after a while, all the moisture, the wetness, everything starts breaking it down, and I usually have to replace, especially since it's touching the ground. Now, in an ideal world, I would have laid a complete concrete slab here, but I didn't want to do that out here. So I said, let me just try these cinder blocks. So what we're doing is we're building it up. So now when all this wood area will still touch wetness and the moisture, everything that the compost bin and the heat. So it will start deteriorating after time, but at least the bottom won't right away. It should last us a couple of years longer. Because if you think about it, right here is where I'm going to start all the compost, and it's going to be up against the cinder, and it's going to be up against the cinder blocks. As it builds up, all the moisture that we add to the compost pile to help break it down will sink to the bottom. And I'm hoping this like 8-inch or so will help protect the bottom. That's the thought process, and I've seen it done before, so I think we're going to be fine with it. So I think this is going to be a great way to add on to what I've done in the past with building these compost bins. So let me move these off, and then I'm going to show you how we started the base. All right, so I got all the skids moved out so you can just see the base here. Now, what I'm using for the base is a cinder block, which is around 6 inches wide, 8 inches high, and 16 inches deep. Pretty standard. Now, the reason I'm using that one because that's the size that work best with the skids that I'm using. So the skids that you might have might be a little different. You can use a smaller one or a bigger one. Really doesn't matter. This worked well for me. Now, how you're gonna level off and lay the cinder blocks in your area that you're gonna do is depending on how your terrain is, how the area in your backyard is. If you have a nice flat area that you want to do it in, you're gonna have no problems. You just lay the cinder blocks and everything's gonna be nice and level and no problems. But that's not the way I have it here. Here, it actually slopes. So it's higher here than it is over here. So what I had to do is I had to dig it into the ground. I kind of dug out this entire area and leveled it out as best as I could, kind of eyeing it for the most part. And then I flattened it and tamped it down in order to get it nice and smooth for me to work on. Now, you're not building a building, so it's pretty straightforward when working with cinder blocks to make a foundation. Let's call it a foundation like this. What you do is you'll want to get yourself some kind of rubber mallet, and you just want to start in one area. You need a rubber mallet and a level. A big level like this would help, depending on how big you're making your compost bin, but a little one does as well. So what you want to do is take your first part of your base, which is this first cinder block, and get it leveled out as perfect as you can. Like I said, it's not, it's nothing you have to worry too much about. As you get your first one, as you have a level on it, you're going to use a mallet to tamp down the areas so it's nice and level. As you go on, because we're talking about some soft, pretty soft soil here. My area is very shaly. That's why I kind of dug it up and loosened up the soil so it's easy for me to work with. As you move on to the next one, same thing. You just keep adding them along and you work with the level. Oh, let me put the right up. This is nice and level. And as I go, I tap down the areas left and right. Like I said, this is not perfect. You're not building a building on a foundation. You're just getting them as level as you can. So I find that a mallet works great. Don't use a hammer, obviously, because you're gonna chip the cinder blocks. And as you move along, you're gonna see it's pretty easy. There's gonna be slight differences, but nothing to worry about. After time, the weight of the wood that's gonna be on top is gonna kind of level it out even a little bit better. And we're going to do some other things to get it, to help hold it in place. But as you go along and you have everything measured out, depending on the size of your bins, once you get it perfectly, just like I said, go through, level it off as much as you can, knock it out, dig a little soil underneath it, do whatever you can to get it as best as you can. See, I can go around and everything is perfectly level or well within the 2 lines of the bubble. And this is more than perfect for me, so I'm fine with that. So again, it's just a matter of simple leveling. Get the ground as best as you can. If you see some big slopes, obviously you want to take care of that. But if you have a nice long level, a 6-foot level like this, you'll know that that side is as close as you can get it to this side, and then you just move on and this is level, so it's perfect. Now, so that the blocks don't move away, there's a couple of things we're going to do. First, I'm going to go around and all the gaps that I have here from when I was digging in, I'm going to backfill in. So I'm going to backfill in any spots that I dug into the ground so that the cinder blocks won't move around. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill up all the holes of the cinder block with dirt. And I'm going to make sure it's kind of compacted in there. This should pretty much hold it in place as we put the pallets on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some soil. I'm going to fill in here and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right. So as you can see, I filled in all the holes on the cinder blocks and I backfilled. And what I mean is there are no gaps between the ground on the sides or in the back between the cinder blocks. So what will happen eventually, the soil will just keep compacting with rain and with the snow that's coming in winter. But I think what I'll do is I'll get some water from the creek and I'm gonna pour it inside each one of these holes so it starts compacting the soil earlier. And what it's going to be, it's going to become mud, and eventually when it's dry, it's going to act like a mortar that's going to hold this in place, and these cinder blocks aren't going to go anywhere. They're kind of a couple of inches on each side, so it should be fine. And again, with the weight of the compost bins on the top and all the heat and the moisture from everything that's going to be baking this one day when I have to get them up, it's going to be trouble getting them out. So, but it should work out pretty well. So that will give us a nice sturdy base or foundation, and anything we want to build on the top will be fine. All right, before I start building everything on top of it, I wanted to show you what I did. I grabbed some water from the creek down there and I started pouring it inside all these holes around the perimeter, and I've been adding some more dirt because there's a lot of air pockets in there and soil isn't compacted down, but the water is going to help that. It's going to turn it into mud. So I'm going to keep adding some more water and keep adding some more dirt, but you can see what it does. It's nice and flush on the sides and in the back here. And that's going to be some strong stuff. Like I said, it's going to be a mortar once it all totally dries out. And I'm not going to be able to move this at all. It's going to be perfect. So, all right, there we go. Have them all tied together now. Now, I don't want this video to be too much like the other video. I'm going to reference that one. That I get into the real nitty gritty on how everything is put together, but I just kind of want to give you some of the basics and walk you through. So when I bring the camera and show you how I kind of connected them together, you come over here on the side. And what I did is I just used angle brackets. Real simple, as you can see. Just tied them together and on the bottom. You can add more if you want, but I found that you don't need too many, just 2 will be fine. And as you come around here, as you do those, same thing. Just remember, if you step back for a second, when you're doing them, you want to do the one side first so it's easy to screw in, so you don't have to try to get in on 90 degree. But as we come along, just real simple, angle brackets, tie them together, no problems, you'll be fine. And finish it off here. And once you have them tied in, there you go. And like I said, this is if you come around, you can go back over there. Once you have it tied together, then you can start spacing them out with the measuring tape. Make sure you have them perfect and laid out. And like I said, this is all in the other video, just kind of walking you through. One other thing, which is a good idea, what I do to help kind of tie it into place, since we're using the cinder blocks, you could always add some kind of bracket to tie the pallets to the cinder blocks. But what I like to do is what I did in the other video. If you come a little closer, take a look here. I have these holes drilled in the top piece and in the bottom piece, which you can't see. And what I like to do is I like to get rebar. See if I can line this up. Line it up with the bottom one. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll hammer this into the ground, all the way into the ground till I hit something really solid. And for each wing panel, I guess you want to call them, of the compost bin. So for this one we'll have 2, this one will have 2, this one will have 2, this one will have 2. So as I'm shoveling dirt into it and all the weight is pushing on the walls, it's not going to move at all. The rebar will hold it in place. And then we won't have any problems of shifting too as bad winds come or rain or just me knocking into it with the shovel. So should work out pretty well. Okay, so I have all my rebar in. Everything's where I want it. Hopefully it stays fine. So now, and this is an extra step. I do this because I'm really rough with my compost bin. I'm in there shoveling and my son are out here. We're knocking this thing around. Sometimes I even bring the tiller inside, which I'm going to show you, just to turn the compost pile. We'll show you that, like I said, in the future. But the more I can stabilize it, the better. So now all you have to do, and I wonder what it's going to do with the audio, you want to push it down as much as you can, kind of line it up. Take a nice heavy mallet or hammer, and you're going to knock it into the ground. Now, I'm not going to do the video showing you everything, but I want to get you an idea. If I start breaking into some shale and some rock, I'm probably going to have to get my sledgehammer. Okay, so let me just do another one so you see. I'll edit that out. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to get my sledgehammer for that one. I must be hitting into a big piece of shale. But see, what that's doing, it's helping stabilize the wall. And it's worked for me. I've done it for years, and it's turned out really well. And, okay, that wasn't so bad. So, like I said, get someone to help you out with this. If you have a bunch of bins. Oh, okay, I must have gone through that piece of rock. There you go. There you go. And it's really good. It's gonna just make that wall so much more stable. What we're gonna do is put some pieces of wood in the front and in the back to help lock it in place. But this is what's gonna stop it from falling over. Make sure your rebar is, if you're using the cinder blocks, make sure it's long enough. I pushed down as far as I could. That gets me to where the cinder block ends in the floor, and then leave myself another foot or so I can hammer it into ground. This is as low as I can do it by hand. So this much is what's going to be past the cinder block, and that's what's really going to help it. So the cinder blocks won't shift as well. So anyway, let me continue hammering these on, and we'll start doing some of the other parts that help keep it nice and straight, each bin. Morning. Well, it's morning for me. The last time we left off, I was putting in the rebar through the skids or pallets to kind of stabilize it. Another thing that I like to do, and it'll depend on how many bins that you're making, I put a kind of stabilizing piece of wood all the way across. Now this one has 3 and it's almost about 10 feet long, so that's what I did. I have, if you want to come a little closer, kind of view it here in an angle, I have this long piece of 2x4 and I bolted it into the top for a couple of reasons. One, it'll help hold the doors, which I'll show you in a minute, and other ones, when I'm putting a lot of pressure on here, when I bring in a wheelbarrow to dump things into it, it'll help support it. I add the 2x4 in the back as well. That'll give me a nice sturdy base to attach these doors. Like I said, I'll get into a second. Now, a lot of this is based on a video that I did about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, on building the compost bin. So I don't want this to be the same video. I'm just kind of showing you showing you through a couple of the parts. But the video is very detailed, and I'm gonna direct you to those. But as we move on, so I'll show you what we do if you want to go over there. So like I said, we're almost towards the end of building this. We have, if you want to step back a little more, we have the these are the gates for the compost bin. This is what holds all the compost in, and what they are, you break them up into individual pieces, and they're pretty simple. They're just made of pieces of pallets. And the reason we break it up into small parts, because your compost pile kind of grows. As you know, when you start it off, it might just be about a foot or 2 deep, and you keep adding, and then you keep adding, and you keep adding. And that's why we break it up into individual parts. Now, what holds these, the gates in the front, what holds the gates in place are just pieces of 2x4. I hope you can make that out. And I show you how to make it in the other video. Just pieces of 2x4 routed in or cut in with a table saw, so that the gate will have somewhere to hold into. So it's really pretty straightforward. So if you kind of come down here, kind of get a visual of it. This one's a T because it's going to accept the gate on both sides. If we go over here to the end, another T because it's in the middle. And then this one over here is an L because it's the end of the compost bin. So I'm going to attach another one here so you get the idea. So come a little closer. Just going to grab, and I like to use the bolts for this, not just regular screws. because when all the weight of this compost bin, which compost in here, which is about a yard, is going to be pushing out. So I need something pretty stable. So I'm going to kind of line it up with the edge of the skid. Okay, and I find that about 3 work, but these are about 3-inch ones. Now I know I'm probably gonna get in the comment about using typical zinc ones as opposed to galvanized. If you can get the galvanized, by all means do that. They're not cheap, so I'm just going with them. It's just a compost bin, so it should be fine. And the last one. Okay. Oops, I think my battery's running low here. That's okay. Okay, that should be fine. Okay. So now this is all set, we can put in the gates and they should fit nice and smooth. Very nice. Now you're probably looking at these and thinking these look pretty beat up and old, and they are, because I'm reusing them from my last bin. I'm building them the same exact way. Might have to tweak a couple here and there. For the most part, they're holding up pretty well. And I've had these for about 5 years or so. I'm not totally sure. There we go. Nice and smooth. And this short one here is just because the size of my skid. I wanted to keep on certain sections. But you see, this is gonna hold up nicely. And with all the weight pushing in the back from all the compost, it's gonna stop it from all flowing up. Now I have the gap in the bottom, but that's okay. Nothing is gonna escape that much, and the reason I have the gap obviously is because we're building it up now. Now the next part is the top, which is the door, and this is optional. A lot of compost bins don't have them. The only reason I'm doing them, and as you can see them here, I'm gonna kind of close them off so you see. The only reason I do them is because sometimes when I put certain kinds of scraps in here, I don't want raccoons. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I get a ton of raccoons in the area. Don't know why, and groundhogs and all other kinds of critters. And these are the original doors too, so they look kind of beat up. I actually had to adjust a few of them, but pretty straightforward. Let me just kind of get them in place. You just want to find it, make some panel door, which again, you can see it in that other video, and just any kind of hinge. I got these are like fence hinges. I got them at Harbor Freight, real cheap. Just it's a compost bin, right? So I'm gonna kind of line it up, and let me just go grab my hardware. Okay, pretty straightforward. Just want to line it up with the skids. And this is not really, not worried about the gaps on the side or anything like that. This is basically to keep any raccoons out. Sometimes I actually want the rain. I'll leave these open, and I want the rain to give them some more water, because I don't want to, if I know a big rain is coming, because I don't want to go down to the creek and get any water. There we go. So we'll line up. If this takes too long, I'll just cut it off camera. All right, but I think I'm good. Again, most of these times the doors won't be open. They're open when you're turning your pile or adding things to it. So, like I said, I'll leave them sometimes if the rain. Okay, last one. I think that should work out pretty well. Yep, kind of design them so they can hold open like that. So real nice, and they're heavy enough so the raccoons can't come in and open them and nothing else. But obviously, you know, whatever could get in from the sides here, but nothing too big, which is the real the point of having it. So let me clean up a little here and we'll end up the video. All right, so there you go. Looks pretty good, huh? This is a really great project if you're looking to get into compost. If there are a lot of different kind of compost systems out there that you can buy, all kinds of bins and turners, and we're going to be showing some of those videos in the near future, or those different systems in the near future. But this is if you're looking to get into composting. You know, you can make a large amount, relatively inexpensive. You figure if I got the pallets for free, I think the wire mesh cost to do all of this was a little over $20, so that's not bad. I'd say another $20, $25 in hardware, maybe, about that. And a couple of 2x4s, which nowadays I know would cost a lot, so let's just say another $20 in wood or so. So really not that bad for about 67, let's round it up to 75 bucks just to be safe. You can make 3 yards of compost. Now, if you now, as of this video in 2024, November of 2024, if I wanted to have fresh compost or topsoil delivered to my house, you figure it's about $39 a yard, maybe a little more, but another $39 to deliver. Now, if I did 3 yards, obviously the 120 or so, plus the $39 delivery. So if you think about it, the investment that you put up in the front, it's about $75 for all the hardware and whatever pieces, it's pretty worth it. And I'm gonna have this for years to come. And now using the concrete, oh, I forgot the concrete blocks. I think they were about $2.50 each, sorry, for this one. So that's another $40 or so in concrete cinder blocks. So still not too bad. Let's round it up to a little, to $100 or so. So really not so bad. I'm gonna have these for many years to come. And like I said, with the concrete blocks, it's gonna make it last a lot longer. And you see, it's really practical, very big. I'm just gonna kind of take it apart as we go. Put them here on the side. So as I'm gonna be starting my compost bins, very, very nice, real simple. And got everything sliding nice and simple. I probably, like I said, would have to adjust it because it's a little slightly different size than the last one. Let me open up the next one. Good, then rip it off. Let me just put them here on the side so you can see. Oop, this one got a little wedge. Probably have to adjust that one a little bit, but not too bad. See, they're doing pretty well. And the last one, there we go. Nice and uniform. Everything looks nice and clean. And this is the cleanest it's ever gonna look. And I say I say that a lot about things that I build, because once we start the compost, forget about it. It's gonna be between the sun and all the water, it's gonna gray everything over very quickly. Now, if you come a little closer, just to kind of show you what it looks like in the inside, I have the steel mesh that I was talking about. We lined the walls of the pallets like this. This is going to allow to hold all the compost, all the material that I'm going to put inside in place, and allow a lot of air circulation, which is the key to composting. Same thing over here. All three. So, and this kind of half-inch mesh, like I said, you don't have to use a half-inch mesh. This is a little more expensive, but not too bad. You can always use chicken wire or whatever you got. If you just use the pallets, which you could ultimately do, I find that it'll just fall through the larger cracks, and you won't get the same effect with it, and you'd just be cleaning up a lot bigger of a mess. And the last one over here. So very attractive, looks very nice. Like I said, it will not look like this much longer. I'm gonna be starting my pile probably right after I finish this video. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you're interested in getting into composting, we have all kinds of composting videos on our site from years before, and new ones they're gonna be coming up with. And if you wanna build these compost bins, hopefully this video has helped you. This was really more to show you how to build up the base that we did, but I have a really extensive video showing you from the very beginning to the very end, detail by detail, even showing you how to use the table saw to cut these the piece of the wood in the front to hold the slat. So really good video. We're going to leave a link to it at the end of this one. Be sure to check it out. I think you're going to love it. So from all of us here at J&D Gardens, till next time, remember, yes, we can.